Good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, June 16th, and it is our last day of school. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Stephanie, and I am a preschool special education teacher in Connecticut. And I've been doing distance learning for the past 3 months. I wanted to talk about a couple things before I get into the video. So this video is going to cover why I haven't been posting lately, and then some end of the school year stuff. So I haven't been posting. I was doing some weekly videos lately, and then I just kind of stopped. So I wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit. I was very much in a slump. I was having a really hard time with this whole distance learning thing. It's a lot harder than teaching in person. And I felt like my videos were very repetitive. We were doing kind of the same thing. Yes, I would change up kind of how I was teaching and some of the things that I would suggest to families and all that. But my videos were a lot of, me being on the computer, and that was it. So because of this slump I was in, I didn't feel like editing. I was feeling very overwhelmed, just very down. So I got behind on my editing, and then I felt like it wasn't worth it to continue making these things when they were all the same video. And then the world continued to just spiral after a police officer murdered George Floyd, and the Black Lives Matter movement got even louder. And that's been a thing for a while, but now people are starting to realize that oh, hey, this is a problem. In the wider community, people are starting to pay attention. So I was in a very emotional state because of that. As a very white passing person of color, that was something that really affected me. And so for me, I was just in a very slumpy kind of place. So I didn't want to be making these videos. But I wanted to talk a little bit about how I've been addressing this in the classroom. And then this past week on Friday, I was able to go into my classroom and pack everything up. So I'll share some clips from that as well. But basically, on Sunday night, I was very emotional. A couple Sundays ago, I was very emotional. After hearing about this murder and all the other murders that have been happening, that people that were coming into the light, I was just very upset, and I was trying to figure out what I can do. My position has always been that as a teacher, it is my job to teach my kids to be kind and to provide a safe place for my kids to feel comfortable and to feel loved and to feel safe. And, seeing all of these bad things that are happening, I was trying to figure out a way that I could, over the computer, let my kids know that they're safe, let my families know that they're safe. And so we were supposed to talk about picnics, and I was like, I can't talk about picnics this week. The world is ending. People are being killed, and I'm supposed to talk about picnics? I can't do that. So I did still share all of the picnic-themed activities that my coworkers and I had put together, because we put a lot of effort into that. So I continued to, post and share those. But then I decided that I was going to spend the week focusing on kindness. So our book of the week is this one right here. It's called Strictly No Elephants. And it is about a child and their pet elephant who are all excited to go to a pet club, and then they find out that they are not allowed. They're not allowed to go into this pet club. And so it's about them finding other people who have also been excluded, and other animals who have also been excluded, and they make their own club where everyone is welcome. And so I shared that with my kids, and we read that book. We read a couple other books. We read Thank You Bear, about a bear who's very excited about something, and everyone else is just really like talking down to them, and like saying, oh, like that's not that exciting, like that's not cool, you know, I've seen that before, or whatever. And then one friend, Mouse, appreciates Bear and you know, like talks them up and says like, oh, you know, that's great, I'm so excited, and like how that makes Bear feel. So we read a couple books like this, and it was a little thing that I could do to promote kindness. And my students are 3 years old, but they also have intellectual and developmental disabilities that, you know, make it harder for them to understand these more abstract concepts. So I made sure that everything was very age appropriate, very developmentally appropriate. I did get some warnings from my coworkers to be careful, because people have gotten like ideas shut down or gotten in trouble with the district. And I, you know, thanked them for, you know, they said it because they wanted, like they wanted me to not get in trouble, like they wanted to support me and everything. But also it's in places where people aren't exposed to these ideas that we really need to be pushing these ideas of kindness. You know, it's Pride Month, so I have some LGBTQIAP+ books that I wanted to share, and, you know, I got some warnings that, you know, just to be careful because people might be offended. And at this point, white, cis, hetero people don't get to be offended. Like, you need to sit in your discomfort and realize that there are other people in the world who don't get to forget about these things, who don't get to forget about the fact that they're Black, or don't forget that they're trans, or whatever it is, because people are so like mean about it. Does that make sense? Like, so I continued to share these books, and they were very age appropriate. It's not like I'm, you know, I have a book about Ruby Bridges, but I decided not to share that with my kids because it was too old for them. You know, they wouldn't understand it. So we can talk about kindness, and we can talk about being different colors and being, you know, different people. We can talk about that in a way that's appropriate for them. So we've been focusing on kindness the past couple weeks. This past week, we read some of our kindness books, and we also talked about like summertime and the beach and like those kinds of things because it is coming to summer. So I did include some of those books in there too. But my main focus has been kindness. Like I said, I shared our picnic and our beach activities, but I also was sharing a lot of kindness activities. So like the Sesame Street song that I absolutely love by Tori Kelly. And, you know, things like that. Or one of the activities I shared was to mail a hug to someone, a long distance hug. And so I had the kids trace their hands, put a string connecting those two hands that they traced and cut out. and then send that to someone like they were sending them a hug. And so we talked about that. There are different ways to be kind. One way to be kind is with our hands. With our hands, we can help people. We can hug people. We don't use our hands for hitting or for hurting. We use our hands to help. And so, we made these activities appropriate for these kids. I shared them with families. I got very positive responses from families. I checked in with everybody to make sure that they were doing okay. I told them, I said, hey, it's a very scary time in the world, especially now. So I wanted to check in, see how you are doing, see if there's a way that I could support you. And I made it very open to my families that, I want to support you in any way that you need me. And so I've been working on supporting my families in ways directing them towards ways that they can get home services. I don't have access to their insurance and their doctors and stuff, but I can say, okay, I know your child has an autism diagnosis. So in Connecticut, you have access to, certain resources for your family. Here's what you can say to your insurance company to ask them, what providers they work with and stuff like that. So I've been providing services and support and resources to my families in that way. But I really wanted to make it open, especially lately, and say, how do you need my help? What can I do for you? And I think my families have been appreciating that. So yeah, it's been a very tough time. I know my kids don't really understand what's going on, and part of me is thankful for that, because this is such a horrible thing to experience, that I don't want my kids to be aware of that. But I'm also terrified for my kids, because my kids most of them are people of color. I have Black kids, I have Latinx kids. They are at a greater risk in the society that we live in. It's sad, but it's true. And it also, it puts them at a greater risk that they don't talk. A lot of my students are nonverbal. They're not at a point where they can express themselves verbally. They can't use their words to say things. They also can't look people in the eye. That's a lot of people with autism. That's something that's very difficult for them. A lot of people with other things as well, even if they do not have autism, looking people in the eye can be very difficult. My students are very quick to react to things. Part of that is because they're little, but, part of it is because of their different disabilities that they have or whatever. And so I worry so much for my kids, and I want to protect them. And so I've been trying to think of ways that I can appropriately address this with my kids, with my families, with my school and my district, because we need to do better. We need to make a better world for these kids, because no one deserves to be hated, to be, beaten down, to be killed because of these things. And I don't mean to be white girl tears, but I am so worried for my kids. And one thing that I can do is to teach them kindness now, so that way in the future, we can make this a better world for them. Okay, so I have 10 minutes until my video call with my kids to say goodbye. So I'm going to try and stop crying, even though I'll be crying again in a little bit because I'll have to say goodbye to all my kids. But, whew. So yeah, I've been trying really hard to focus on kindness. I'd appreciate any resources that you would like to share with me, though I have been, doing the work and doing the research out there to figure out how to address these things with my kids. I'll put some links down below where you can find resources. I've shared a bunch on my Instagram, and, there are plenty of amazing people out there who have done the work. So I highly recommend, doing some Google searches or clicking the links that I'll leave. But our kids need us to make this world a better place for them. And one way we can do that is by teaching them kindness and by showing them kindness. So, yeah. But yeah, so anyways, real quick, I want to talk about kind of what I'm doing for the end of the year. So it is 11:53. At 12 o'clock, we're doing a goodbye lunch with my kids. So I invited them, to bring their lunch or a snack. And we'll get on a video call and I'm going to read them a book. I'm going to show them some pictures from the year. And then we're going to sing some songs. So what we were doing at the end of our school day was we would sing The More We Get Together. And then we would also sing our hello song, but just replace good morning or hello with goodbye. So I think that's how we'll end it. I also invited some of our service providers, like our speech pathologists and counselor and OT and PT and all those people to join us as well so that they can say goodbye. We do have some students who are going to a different school, so I will not be seeing them next year. We have students who are staying in the same school. They might be in the same class, they might not. So this will be a time for them to kind of just say goodbye. And then I'm also going to remind families that I've been sharing resources on our Google Classroom and on our Blooms app of things that they can do this summer. I found some virtual stuff that they can do, but I've also found a really good in-person group that one of my paras did with her kids, and she absolutely loved it. So they are trying to figure out, when they can reopen, but they're hoping to reopen soon. So I'm going to provide that as a resource. So I'm just going to kind of remind families that I have that. And yeah, so I'm going to log on now, say goodbye to my kids, probably cry some more, and then I'll check back in with you afterwards. And I'll tell you more about packing up my classroom. I know we have a couple other people who said that they would try and log on, but it's so nice to see you. My friends, I know that it's been a very tough time being away from everybody, so I thought it would be nice to get to see all our teachers and all our friends. But we had some pretty fun times this year, and I wanted to show you some of the pictures that I have from our year. I see all of our friends in these pictures. Do you think you can find yourself in this picture? Can you find your picture? But guess what? School is all done and it's time for summer. So I want to read you a quick book about summer, and then maybe we'll sing a song and sing a little goodbye. How does that sound? Can I get a thumbs up? Hey everyone, so I have moved to my couch because school is officially over. I am done, so I'm going to take a break. I'm going to watch some YouTube and just kind of hang out for a little bit. Just, kind of take a break from the world. But yeah, we only had a couple kids on our video call, which, I expected not a lot of people to show. I didn't expect for, all 13 of my kids to come on. But I was hoping that some of our kids that we haven't seen much would be on. And they weren't, so that was kind of sad. But I did get to say goodbye to some of my kids. And we had a lot of the, other people, the other adults pop on to say bye to, which was nice. Yeah, so did that. I'm officially done for the year. And now I'll put in some clips from Friday when I visited my classroom, to kind of pack everything up. And yeah. over here. I'm in our classroom. Isn't that so silly? Do you miss our classroom? Yeah, here's our room. Here's our schedule, our TV, and our books. Misty is here to clean up today, but I still wanted to have a circle time with you because this is our last circle time. Can you believe it? This is our last circle time of the year. Good morning, Misty. We're glad you came to school. Do you remember the story that we've been reading this week about a lady who swallowed what's this? A shell. There's a lady who swallowed a shell. We said this was a very silly story. Ready? Here we go. There was an old lady who swallowed My friends, I want to let you know that today is our last day of circle. And then on Tuesday, we'll have a little goodbye party. And we'll all get on the computer and talk to each other. How does that sound? Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my classroom. Today is my last day in here to pack up, so I thought I would take you along with me. I just did a little circle time over here, and now I'm gonna pack up. So I guess I'll show you a quick pan of what the room looks like, and then we'll get to cleaning. Gotta go return all this stuff I borrowed. Let's go. Okay, the stuff down here I purchased myself, so I want to take it because I don't know for sure that I'll be in this room next year. filing cabinet thing, mabob here, cabinet thing. And then I also have this little box thing down here. And I'm thinking I'm going to take some of the DTI stuff from my room and put it in here so it's all together. And I can like put some tape over the doors and be like, ABA class only. I think that'll be good. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so I just did my afternoon circle time, and now I am printing out all of the IEPs that I've done over distance learning. I need to print a copy for school, I need to print a copy for central office, I need to print a copy to send home. So I'm going to be doing a lot of printing. So I'm going to set that up at the printer and then get back to cleaning up my room. So as I was leaving school, I did get an email. Well, let's back up. Our principal said nobody's moving positions, nobody's moving grades, nobody's moving classrooms. Like, you will stay in your same place, so plan on that. We're like, okay, good. Now, the way my school works, you have to be rehired at the end of the year if you're not tenured. So I didn't know if I would be rehired or not. Like, it was, I was getting worried about it just because I haven't experienced that before. But, so I was like, the principal says that everybody's going to stay in the same room, but what if my position isn't needed next year, or so it was like, what's going to happen? And I had talked to, my mentor and one of our union reps, and I was not on the list of people whose positions were cut. So I was like, okay, at least there's that, but I could still get moved involuntarily. So there was still another step of moves that I was like, I could still get moved, something still could happen. And last year they made big changes to preschool. They completely overhauled everything, brand new. So I was under the impression that there weren't going to be many changes for preschool this year because they made so many changes last year. But it sounds like I will be moving to 4-year-olds for next year, but not the ABA class. It will be an integrated class, so I'll still have morning and afternoon sessions, but I'll have some students with IEPs, some students without. So that is the current plan. We'll see what happens. I've been talking to some of the other teachers and trying to figure out who's going where and all that. So I'm not going to say that anything's set in stone, because who knows, but that is the current plan. So we'll see. I'll keep you updated, kind of as I know more, as more decisions are made, as classes are made and all that kind of stuff. But for now, it looks like I will be in preschool, but with the bigger kids, with the 4-year-olds, and in a different setting. So there's that. And I guess we'll see, what happens next. No one knows what fall is going to look like, so we're all just kind of playing it by ear. But yeah, so like I said, I'll give you updates, as I get them. There will be links down below to some resources, and Google is free, so as long as you have access to internet, you can access Google and you can research some of these things. So go out there, put in some effort, try and find some ways that you can help, be it going to protests, watching people's kids while they go to protests, donating to different organizations or making masks, whatever it is that you can do to help, do what you can. I understand that not everybody can be out at protests right now. I am lucky enough that I was able to go to a protest. I felt comfortable being in that group. And, that was an amazing experience, but I understand that not everybody feels comfortable with that. So there are plenty of other ways that you can be providing support to the community now. So check out some of the resources below. I'll also have links to my social media and stuff if you want to check that out. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll keep you updated as I know more. But until then, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.